Oh my God!
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 2024 supernatural horror film about evil imaginary childhood friends. What's it called? What could it possibly be called? Imaginary. F***ing movie about imaginary friends picks the most unimaginative title. Jesus Christ almighty. I think we all know where this is going. Oh, and it's a Blumhouse production, which is fine, you know, Blumhouse is hit and miss, but I do like how they support more independent productions. Just not this one, because it's shit. Let's get into it.
I f***ing hate this f***ing movie.
Imaginary was directed and produced by Jeff Wadlow, who is perhaps best known for directing Kick-Ass 2 and the Blumhouse reimagining of Fantasy Island. He also, and this was news to me, wrote the screenplay for Bloodshot, which I actually kinda like. Do not judge me. I was a huge fan of the Bloodshot comics when I was a kid, and I just wanted to see it on the big screen. I thought it was fun, so just f***ing deal with it. Where were we? Oh yeah. Imaginary stars DeWanda Wise, Tom Paine, Tegan Burns, Piper Braun, Betty Buckley, and Veronica Falcon. These can't be their names. Are these seriously their names?
This is ridiculous.
Remember when they used to cast actors with boring names to play characters with unique names? Now it's the other way around. F*** man, 2024. Gotta love it. Or hate it. I don't know. I really don't know anymore. This movie is terrible, and I'm going to spoil the shit out of it. Alright. DeWanda Wise is Jessica. She has bad dreams about her father and a spider creature from her children's books. You see, she's an award-winning writer and illustrator whose bad dreams have haunted her since... Yeah, I'm not quite sure. For a while now. It doesn't matter. She's married to a divorced musician, Max, who has 2 daughters from his first marriage, Alice and Taylor. They're all planning on moving into her father's house because he's mentally ill or something, you know.
Come on. It's your happy place.
Well, the movie doesn't start until they've moved in, so let's just get on with it. Bam! Alice, Max's youngest daughter, notices old art all over the walls in Jessica's childhood room. They have a sweet bonding moment before Taylor comes by and ruins the whole thing. What a bitch. Anyway, sometime later, Jessica watches old home movies and Max gives her a pep talk about the kids. The next day, Alice is bored and talks to Jessica about her books. More specifically, she talks about how she doesn't like the main character, Simon the Spider. Jessica reassures her by saying that
characters who do bad things aren't all bad.
And I guess she's maybe kinda right. I mean, that's a weird thing to say. Or at the very least, it's a weird way to say it. I get what she's going for, but you know what? Never mind. It's not worth dwelling on. So Alice is bored and asks Jessica to play a game of hide and seek, which she does until she gets a call from her publisher. She walks outside, abandoning the game and giving Alice enough time to follow a voice down to the basement. Like most young girls her age, Alice isn't afraid of creepy, unfamiliar basements and proceeds to move a bunch of shit to find a stuffed bear. And oh my god, it's the sunflower from Jessica's dream. What could it mean? When Jessica returns from her super important business call about drawing a kid's book, Alice has already moved on.
We can still play if you...
I found someone else to play with.
Meanwhile, Taylor gets weirded out when she spots an old lady staring at her through her bedroom window. She rushes outside, as one does, and can't find the old lady, but ends up meeting the boy next door, Liam, aka her twin brother. I mean, they look identical. What the hell's going on here? Later, Alice and her bear, Chauncey, are doing a scavenger hunt, but she makes it clear that Jessica isn't allowed to play.
It's kind of top secret.
Alice disappears again, and while looking for her, Jessica heads down to the basement and finds a box of her childhood art. Specifically, she finds a drawing of a blue door with the words "Never Ever" written below it. Gee, I wonder if that will be significant to the story at some point. Tired of reminiscing, Jessica heads back upstairs and finds Alice in her room, having a tea party with Chauncey and, dun dun dun, her mother. It turns out that Taylor has been texting her mentally ill mother, and she decided to drop in for a visit. Way to go, Taylor, you f***ing idiot. Max, being a responsible father figure, does the only thing he can. He leaves his family to go out on tour with his band. Perfect. As soon as he leaves, Jessica is approached by Gloria, the creepy old lady that was spying on Taylor. She's actually just a neighbor, and coincidentally, she's Jessica's former babysitter. Imagine that. Well, after a few minutes of having to look after the kids, Jessica dips out to go visit her nutty father. So obviously, Taylor takes the opportunity to invite Liam over to watch a movie. But Liam, being the naughty twin brother he is, brings over some drugs
Or something.
and makes things awkward. And then he gets into Max's alcohol stash, accidentally breaking a bottle and pissing off Taylor. Even Alice doesn't like him and encourages Chauncey to eat him.
I know. I don't like him either. Maybe you should eat him.
Which is more or less what happens, minus the eating. Chauncey terrorizes Liam, scaring the crap out of him. And then Jessica comes home, scaring the crap out of Taylor. And then she finds out that some of her artwork has been damaged. Suspecting Alice, Jessica gives a heartfelt speech to her stepdaughter.
You deserve to feel safe and loved.
But it's not Alice hiding under the covers, it's Chauncey. Alice is actually outside, working on her scavenger hunt. And even though she has consistently carried both Chauncey and her scavenger hunt list with her when playing this game, for the purposes of a weak plot, this time she doesn't.
I can't take much more of this.
Jessica notices something sinister on the list and rushes outside to prevent Alice from slamming her hand onto a rusty nail. Obviously, this is grounds for an emergency therapy session. Jessica calls in Dr. Alana Soto, who talks to Alice about Chauncey Bear, her imaginary friend. Alice and Chauncey, in the middle of the therapy session, have a falling out.
Maybe we shouldn't be friends! No, 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 no!
And Alice runs off crying. Dr. Soto then shows Jessica a video from another session with another client, which, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but seems a tad bit f***ing unethical. I'm sure it's just me. I'm sure that's totally normal. Anyway, Dr. Soto shows Jessica a video of a kid who hurt himself because his imaginary friend told him to. She couldn't just tell her that. I mean, she had to show her the video. No, listen, I get it. I'm overreacting here. Jessica tells Dr. Soto she thinks Chauncey Bear is the problem. She should just destroy the bear. And Dr. Soto is like,
What bear?
What a twist!
there was never any bear. Chauncey Bear is imaginary, dummy. Nobody can see it except for Alice and apparently Jessica. Oh, and Liam too. But forget about Liam. Liam's not part of the story anymore. Now we're back with Alice and Chauncey. They've made up and are getting back to their scavenger hunt. They end up in the basement where Alice paints a blue door on the wall. Even though, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's something she should never ever do.
Never, ever.
Oh god, this movie is so stupid. Alright, well, Jessica and Taylor have lost track of Alice yet again. And when they can't find her, Jessica tries to sell Taylor some wackadoo imaginary friend bullshit. Taylor, miraculously being the only sane person in this movie,
Stop, Taylor, I'm going to walk the block again.
doesn't bite and goes off on her own to find her sister. But she's beset upon by Gloria. Remember Gloria? Of course you do. She lures Taylor into her home, without much hassle, I might add, and spends a phenomenal amount of time explaining how imaginary friends are, in fact, real.
The Spanish call it el cuco, the Trinidadians, the jumbi.
They're spirits or something. I mean, of course they are. And Chauncey was also Jessica's childhood imaginary friend, which is why both of them can see him. Fuck me. So Gloria and Taylor return to Jessica. Taylor totally believes her now, and the three women realize that Alice has been taken to the never-ever realm.
A world of pure imagination.
They work together to recreate the scavenger hunt list, because it's a ritual necessary for entering the never-ever. But the ritual doesn't work. So Jessica acts like a complete bitch to Taylor.
You're selfish, Taylor. Just like your mother.
And now the ritual is complete. A blue door appears. Gloria, Jessica, and Taylor enter the
World of pure imagination.
and are witness to Jessica's repressed memories, or what some of us might recognize by its clinical name, lazy writer's exposition. It turns out that the reason Jessica's dad is mental is because she went off to the never-ever when she was a kid, and he had to sacrifice his sanity to save her. Oh, and what's this? Gloria has trapped them all in the world.
Of pure imagination.
Okay, enough of that. Yeah, so Gloria is nuts. She thinks that they can all be happy in the never ever.
We can be young here. We can create anything. Be anything.
And then she gets mauled by a bear. No joke, this was the best part of the movie. Taylor and Jessica split up to find Alice, and Taylor gets caught in a room with a zombified version of her sister. For reasons. Jessica saves her, and they find the real Alice like 2 seconds later. She's having a tea party with her mom. But Jessica is like,
Sometimes we create by tearing things apart.
which is like, I don't know, why even say this? How is this the thing to say at this moment in time? Strange, very strange. Alice needs little convincing, and the three ladies make a new blue door to escape through. But then Alice and Taylor's mom turns into a giant and menacing version of Chauncey Bear. Taylor and Alice escape, but Jessica falls through the floor. On her way down, she stabs Chauncey with a pair of scissors. Falling back into the blue corridor, Jessica twists her ankle and freaks out because all the doors are opening? What? You know, I think now's a great time to point out that other than Gloria's off-screen death, nobody has died in this movie. Seriously, not a single soul.
Disappointed!
So Chauncey shows up and chases Jessica for half a second before Taylor opens the blue door and saves her. And everyone lived happily ever after. Except this isn't the happily ever after. We're still in the never ever. We're still in the
World of pure
Oh,
imagination.
stop it. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone has teddy bear eyes. Blah, blah, blah. Taylor comes to Jessica's rescue. Blah, blah. Simon the spider. Blah, blah. Fire magic. Blah, blah, blah. The three ladies escape as the house burns to the ground in a town with one of the most efficient fire departments I've ever seen. And Max returns to make sure his family is safe. Just kidding. Max doesn't give a flying f*** about anything. The girls just check into a hotel, and when they see a random kid playing with a teddy bear, decide to go to another hotel.
Should we try the next hotel?
Great idea.
Okay, let's go.
Which was a good call, because it turns out that the bear was indeed Chauncey Bear. Dun, dun, dun. And that is both surprisingly and thankfully the end. Before I dump all over this movie, let's talk about a few things I actually liked about it. And by a few things, I really mean the one and only thing, which is the concept, the general premise of the movie.
It's not the worst idea.
If the direction was better, if the writing was competent, if the acting wasn't wooden, if literally everything about this movie was different, but the overall concept was the same, we could have had something.
You're lying!
I mean, maybe not something great, but something. It's not an original idea either. All I'm saying is that someone with some talent could have maybe done something with this. That's it. That's all I've got. I don't know how, but this movie got a theatrical release.
What?
Which I think is great. What a message for the kids of today. It goes to show that you don't need to know how to write a movie. You don't need to know how to direct. You don't need to hire great actors. You can literally do the bare minimum of what constitutes filmmaking and get your movie into thousands of theaters.
Nice.
You don't even need an original idea. I imagine the pitch for this movie was like, hey, what if we did something like Child's Play, but without all of the gruesome and entertaining murder stuff, and instead of making it a criminal stuck inside of a doll, it's like an imaginary friend ghost spirit thing stuck inside of a teddy bear?
That sounds awful.
A teddy bear that only 3 people can see. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Before you slam the door in my face, what if I also told you we could make the movie for next to nothing because we aren't going to hire any famous actors and we don't need a VFX budget because nothing really happens? I'm positive that's how it all went down. And then they cobbled together a script using every ridiculous trope they could cram in, and it's fucking brilliant. The whole thing is just so stupid. There are no rules holding this world together. Jessica and Alice can see Chauncey because he's their imaginary friend, but Liam can see him too because he's actually more of a house spirit. Is that how it works? I mean, if imaginary friends are actually spirits, then they aren't really imaginary, right?
I don't understand.
So kids don't have imaginations? They can't have imaginary friends without them being temperamental ghosts? Is that what this movie is trying to tell us? And other than consisting of a couple blue hallways and some random rooms, how does the never ever work? Please, someone explain it to me, because the movie didn't think it was necessary. Just like it didn't think it was necessary to tell us anything about any of the characters. Look, I get it. Horror movies, and I'm using the term very loosely here, don't have the best track record when it comes to character development. Two-dimensional characters are the rule, not the exception. But the characters of Imaginary are laughably unimaginative. Max, the father who is part of a band and serves literally no purpose to the plot. Taylor, the teenager who hates her stepmother. Gloria, the nosy neighbor who knows more than she's letting on. And Alice, the kid, who at least recognizes by the end of the movie that Chauncey isn't really her friend.
You were never my friend.
So that's something. As for plot, I mean, it's there, it exists, and Jessica does occasionally move it forward through her actions to a certain extent, but it's also ridiculous and unbelievable.
Who cares?
Even for a movie about imaginary teddy bears. The worst part of it all is that during the conclusion, Jessica does nothing to earn her victory over Chauncey. She stabs him with a pair of scissors. That's it. When Jessica escapes the Never Ever for the first time, the fake time, I was like, oh, that was an abrupt transition to the conclusion, but okay, I'm just glad it's over. And then they revealed that no, Jessica hadn't escaped.
Oh my God.
She was still stuck in the Never Ever, and I was like, no. That's how I feel about the pace and length of this story. And no, the antagonist isn't consistent or believable or frightening or any of the things you would expect from a horror movie. He doesn't act in a consistent manner.
Never, ever.
He isn't well developed as a villain. He's just a shitty teddy bear. And the resolution is awful. If you were looking at this movie as a story about a woman trying to build a bond with her stepchildren, if you were looking at this movie as the story of a woman trying to escape her childhood demons, the resolution is f***ing terrible. It doesn't address any of the themes, the infinitesimally weak themes developed within the story. Jessica and Taylor and Alice go to a hotel. Nothing about them has changed. It's just, oh my fucking God, oh, Jesus.
What is this?
I fell asleep watching this movie. Not because I was tired, because I was bored out of my mind. It's a boring movie by every measurable metric. Boring at a cellular level. So boring that even as I'm writing this,
This is gonna sound out there.
I want you to imagine a movie. I want you to imagine a movie that's entertaining and packed with compelling themes. I want you to imagine a movie with genuine talent behind and in front of the camera. A movie that thrills you. A movie that you want to share with family and friends. I want you to imagine that movie the moment you think about watching Imaginary. Now go watch that movie instead.
It's incredible!
Because Imaginary is a truly terrible movie.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That should never have happened.